Hello everybody and welcome to Rico's second Unravel Your Print Workflow live webinar. You can listen to this event in multiple languages, in English, French, Spanish, Italian, German or Dutch. And if you do want to listen in one of those languages, please download the Interprify app from either the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. And you can see the QR codes on the left that will take you straight to the Interprify app. Or you can search for Interprify to download the app. And when you have, please enter the token, which you can see is Unravel 2. And then please do select your preferred language. I hope that gives everyone enough time to read and understand and act on these instructions. So we'll now move on to another slide of instructions. You can listen to this event on your PC. You can also listen to this event using a separate browser window. So you can listen in English, French, Spanish, Italian, German, or Dutch. And if you'd like to do that, please use the following link, which you can see on the screen. And please note, because we need to move on, of course, we will post this link in the chat for you. So I'm now going to hand over to Eve de Ridder, Vice President Graphic Communications Group, to officially start the webinar. Thank you, Eve.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon all, and great to see so many people on this webinar, and welcome to everybody. Yeah, the webinar is called Input, Manage, Prepare the Crucial Early Stages. And today's webinar is the second in the series of 3 that Rico Europe is hosting as part of our Unravel Your Print Workflow series. And there has probably never been a time where there has been so much focus on workflow. It seems everyone in our industry is talking about it, writing about it, posting about it, and even in some cases implementing it. And that makes sense as, yeah, in these challenging times with print-based businesses determined to ensure they will be resilient in the face of many headwinds, workflow efficiencies and enhancement that improve productivity can have a direct and powerful positive impact on profitability. However, workflow can be complex and complicated, no question about it, and I think you know all about that. So we at Rico decided now it's the time to unravel your print workflow with the help of several independent workflow experts and commercial print businesses with their own unique perspectives. And today we will be looking at the crucial first 3 stages and exploring with our experts a number of key issues around how jobs arrive and are onboarded and managed. So let's turn to the agenda. For today's agenda, after I have briefly introduced the panelists to you, we'll begin with a short overview of the 5 stages of the print ecosystem and the importance of a smooth handoff. Then our 2 independent print experts, Rolf Schlöscher and Arndt Eschelor, will share with us some privileged insights into, firstly, recent research into how files are supplied and some key learning points, and then the challenges and opportunities around the expanding world of e-commerce. And then we will move on to a panel discussion in which our panelists will tackle some thought-provoking questions and share their professional opinions. Let's see if they all agree on that. And after that, there will be a short run through of some Rico's relevant solutions before we wrap up. So please submit questions at any time during this event. And we will answer questions as time permits, and we will get back to you shortly afterwards for those questions for which we didn't have the time to answer. And the session should run for about 45 minutes. So let's move to our panelists. The first thing I should say is that Jörn Varak is sadly not able to join us for health reasons. I'm sure you all join me in wishing him a quick recovery. And I'm delighted to say that we do have Philip Dodd with us today. Philip is owner of Healy's Print Group, a commercial printer based in the east of England with an enviable reputation for exceptional quality and service. And Philip has led a wide-ranging change program at Healy's, which you will learn more about soon. And Art Eschelor is not only an e-commerce expert who consults for many European printers and enterprises, he also runs companies like Overnight Print Europe and Print Logistics Services. And finally, Ralph Schroescher, who has been studying and reporting on the print production market for many years. And he is a massive name in our industry, and we are very delighted to have him here with us. So that's for our expert panel. So finally, I want to show you one slide on the print ecosystem. And the print ecosystem is complex, as you well know, and not one size fits really all. And at Rico, we break down the whole print workflow process into 5 stages. It's a simple, straightforward system that works equally well for both print service providers and for corporate print rooms. And it gives us the chance to look at stages individually and to explore how to unlock more revenue by streamlining the process, including the vital handoff of jobs from one stage to the next. And there are many opportunities to unlock more revenue. The purpose really of these webinars is to share some of the best ones. Today, focusing on the input, manage, and prepare stages, which are so important to the overall efficiency of your workflow, and where the opportunities to streamline and automate are the greatest. I would like now to hand over to Rolf to start us off, Rolf and Art. And Rolf, welcome, and great to have you along here today, and over to you.
Thank you for the introduction. So I would like to start my relatively short presentation on the input workflow with a brief quote. Input always equals output. So output always equals input. It's a quote by a US general, James Van Fleet, and while it applies to, well, he applied it to the military, I think it has also a lot of relevance to the printing industry today, and especially for the future as well. And on the next slide, we are going to see how that all ties in with the methods we are seeing on this exchanging files and making orders in a company. So the traditional methods we had in the past, like phone, FTP, or physical data, zip drives, we've been used to that, but the role of those declined. They're still being used. The method of choice today, what Keypoint Intelligence found in the research, is still email job ordering and also email file transfer. What is interesting is that electronic channels, pure electronic channels like web to print or EDI API connections are growing quickly in recent years. So it seems like they're going to take over the leading role in some time in the future. Now, you could say this is mainly an academic discussion, what is the biggest method and so on. But it actually has a lot of implications on how a print job can be processed afterwards. because an email essentially is an unstructured way of sending data, of communicating, while the e-channel web to print, this is structured. You have fields you need to fill in, you know which data needs to go in which field, makes it easier then to process further in your system. So there is quite a difference in the different methods here. And to say it right away, e-ordering does not make customer service superficial, but it does support it getting the right data into the right place. And actually on the next slide, we see how this is driven by also changes in the customer. So not necessarily driven by printers, but the customers are changing. We've seen that the professional print buyer is getting more and more rare. So it's now multimedia buying, persons experienced in web processes, but not necessarily in print. And they probably don't have a lot of skills in preparing files and how to tick the right fields for every print job they are sending out. But those are the people today, and they are also driven by automation on the buyer side because all the customer companies are also automating. So what is important today is the convenience and the ease of use, and also research has shown that it's already taken care of by web to print. For example, dynamic pricing, online design templates on the top of being used. But what is nice about web to print, it's also that additional services can be offered, like the 3D designs, automated customer notifications, proofing, artwork approval. So it's even more than that. And on the next slide, we see how that has also a big impact then on the further processing of the jobs. Because today, 71% of all printers in Europe, according to the research, they already own an MIS system. But from those who own MIS, the automation achieved is still, I would say, fairly low. And looking at the main features that can be automated, it's around half of the printing companies use it, the other half don't. But there's still a lot of issues there. So job onboarding is complicated, billing, accounting is time consuming, a lot of error and waste. So it would make sense to automate more. But from my feeling and also what the feedback I'm getting is, it's also a lot down to not the right data getting connected to the job, which makes it taken into an MIS more difficult, and also the further decision making. Because the MIS is an ideal place to have all the data accessible, it is also the basis for the automated decision making for the workflow. So on the next slide, because you're seeing that on there is not a single one workflow in a company. There are multiple workflows depending on the print application, depending on the run length, depending on the type of the customer maybe, and lots of different other factors. So lots of different workflows in the company, and there needs to be an informed decision which route to take. Is it printed digitally? Is it printed offset? Beyond that, of course, one has to define then, look at the common workflow steps. Which kind of workflow steps are being used? Because then it makes sense to automate them. The other way, the other factors are unique workflow steps, and those are the ones to shy away from if they only happen for certain jobs and certain customers. Then they usually tend to create more work than are worth it and are difficult to automate. So identifying the common workflow steps here is extremely important. And when automating a workflow system, it's also important to walk the workflow for each print application and seeing how the different steps are interdependent, and also talk to the stakeholders involved. So on the next slide, we're seeing how many different steps that even could be in something like the file preparation for a print job. And obviously there are complicated steps. So if you're doing versioning and personalization, you certainly want to use software and automation to use it. But even easy things, well, like proofing, online proofing, file conversion, or for example, pre-flight, they can cause a lot of errors. A lot of things can go wrong. So looking at automating them makes a lot of sense, because here it does save time when there's automation for checking the files. it helps in reducing errors, and it does reduce the workflow for the people involved. So there would be a lot more to say, but I'm glad that Arndt Eschenlohr is here with us, and he will take on and giving a bit of an outlook directly on the input from an online printing site.
So thanks, Ralph, and a warm welcome to all participants from Dresden in Germany. So before I start, please go one slide back. I want to give you a short overview about my CV, and I think the most important information for today is that I was founding an online print company in the year 2007 on a green field. So I got money from an American company, and they told me to build up from scratch a printing company and also the online marketing part. So that's why it's called PLS, Print Logistics Service Germany. This was the printing company, and Overnight Prints Europe was the company who managed the website and the shop. So on the next slide, you can see two pictures that I like a lot because they show about 20 years of media consumption development. So as you know, today, if you go in a restaurant, you are not seeing so many people anymore holding a newspaper in their hands or a magazine. Most of the people have their heads down and look on the mobile phone. And the good news is that we had in the year 2000 lots of challenges and lots of opportunities, and we still have them 20 years later. So you also have a lot of opportunities when you go online. And the good thing is you have much less challenges than we had in the beginning. Because when we started, there was nothing on the market, so we were not even able to buy a software for imposition, which was really helpful for us. So we had to do most of our work manually, and also we had to program our automation systems mostly on our own. So now let's come to the challenges first, because I think most of them are solvable today in an easy way by just buying a pre-made system. So the first challenge you will have is for sure to decide if you want to buy a pre-made system or if you want to program your own solution. Here, the main question will be, what is your customer group? Is it more B2B? So you just want to sell B2B products, or also B2C? There's a big difference today because in B2C, for sure, you need complete different tools, like for example, an online designer tool on your website, because a typical private customer wants to design his own greeting card and order it online. On the other side, they have a different language because they are not in our industry, so they don't understand our specific language, so the website must be completely different. Today, you can buy a lot of pre-made systems in the B2B area, and most of them come from the closed shop systems, and then opened it also for sales in the B2B area. The next challenge is the sheet imposition. So here I have to say, when we started, it was mostly depending on people. So we gave the people Excel sheets, which helped them to know how much a place on a sheet is costing. So they were able to find out which is the best combination of products on a sheet to be most effectively. And the second question will be, which solution is the best for sheet imposition? I think here are also a lot of systems on the market. When we started, it was for sure mostly preps we used. And in the end, there was a big change in the last 20 years, because today you have solutions where mathematics is included. That means the system is calculating the square centimeter price of a sheet or a place on the sheet. And with this calculation base, they find the most effective way to combine customer orders on the sheet. Then for sure, a big challenge is still the MIS system. So do I use the front end also for production? This is because most of these pre-made web solutions already offer a light MIS system in the back. So you can start your first orders doing them over the pre-made solution. The other way would be that you connect your existing production system over an API. So most of these pre-made solutions already have a possibility to connect over API to a different system. Or the last possibility, you buy a separate system. Also here, you get today 3 or 4 different vendors who are specialized on online printing. And for sure, the biggest challenge still today is the online marketing. So here we also have to divide into customer groups. B2B is a little bit easier. B2C is a little bit more difficult because in B2C, for sure, you have different keywords. You like to go more in the private area. So you have the greeting cards, and you have to take care if you bid on these keywords that your website is also able to handle this really private customers with an online designer or whatever you offer them. The other way is you have to ask yourself if you can do this on your own, or if you need an agency or consultancy company like also Escon is doing, so that you get somebody in charge to bring you the traffic on the website. So then let's go to the opportunities. And as I said, we still have lots of opportunities today. A lot of people think, oh, the competition is so big, especially in B2C. We have the big players. But there are also good examples in the last years of small houses who started from scratch and went up to big companies in the end by just concentrating on one special product. Like, for example, Moo in UK, they just took the business card and made a perfect website for business cards. And in the end, this is also a big company today with over 100 million revenue. So the one opportunity for sure is the extra workload for your existing equipment. So if you have an equipment and it's not completely filled up and you anyway have to pay it, you can put extra load on it by using your own web portal or by using outsourcing models like, for example, Cloud Printer, where you just print for other online printers. This can also help you when you consider buying new equipment. That means this is what we also did in overnight prints. When we bought new equipment, we took outsourced work in. And when the machine was not completely filled up, we used this free time for outside work. And so we were able to pay the machine. And as more our own business was going up, as less we printed for other ones. Then for sure you lower your risk. For sure, everyone knows if you have many small risk customers, it's better as having one high risk customer, because if you lose a big one, then a lot of revenue goes away. And in online printing, the average order number is maybe around 100 to 150 euros. So if you lose here 1 or 2, it's not such a big mess than when you lose your biggest customer. Then we have the reduction of cost for analog sales. Especially in the last months during the war, the costs were going up a lot on gasoline and also on the people driving around outside. And the problem is also the analog sales people, they make maybe, how many dates can they make? Maybe 5, 6 dates per day. And in the end, they will maybe come home with nothing in their hands. With online sales, you acquire the customer when they really search or need the product. That means exactly at the moment when the customer enters the search keyword in Google or another search machine, you will be on the screen and you have the possibility that the customer will come to your shop and maybe also in the end, what you hope, buy on your site. The last opportunity is, in my opinion, the most important one, that you follow the trend. Because if you look at our kids, we are now in the gaming generation, and I think these people will not really want to go to a printing company for a standard product like flyers and ask them about printing flyers for them. They will go online and they want to design online and also want to order online without any direct contact to a printing company. So the new generation has a completely different buying behavior. Okay, so now I give the word to John.
Thank you, Arndt. Thank you very much for that. And to you, as well, Ralph. Now we come, I think, to maybe the core of today's webinar, panel discussion, featuring Arndt and Ralph again, and also Philip, who I've described, owner and MD of Healy's Print Group. If we move on to the next slide, then I can provide a quick overview of Philip's company, just so that you've got a flavour of the sort of business that he runs. And Healy's, some of you may know, but Healy's is a well-known commercial printer in England, offset and digital. Its modus operandi is collaborative working, using consultation and advice to enable its clients to achieve exceptional results. Their software challenge was to enhance their flexibility and responsiveness, particularly around online order handling. And to help address that challenge, Philip called upon Ricoh's new Edge business development consultancy service, which challenged some deeply held perspectives and beliefs. The main outcome was a new MIS and CRM system, which went live in July. So it's early days still. Early results are starting to come through. And Philip's certainly confident that the investments will prove very successful. So that's a quick introduction to Healy's. And we'll now move on to the questions. And we've got 3 questions, and I will ask each one of them to each of our 3 panelists, and we look forward to hearing what they have to say and to see if they agree or maybe even disagree. And the first question is, how are clients' requirements for print orders and file submission changing? We've just heard about Healy's, and we know that Philip has faced some challenges in this field. So Philip, if you don't mind, do you think you can kick this off with your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, happy to do that. I think it'll come as no surprise to the people on the webinar today that customers are ever more demanding in timescales, and also we're seeing smaller orders, a larger number of smaller orders rather than customers holding stock. So our challenge, as you've said in the introduction, is that we are a hybrid, if you like, printer, in that we have some very complex work where we're working with creative agencies. We're called in at the planning stage. Our job is to supply them with some very creative papers via our contact with the merchants. But at the other end of the scale, we have clients, particularly working in the property market, mainly property, where we have daily large quantities of small orders. So it was probably 2 years ago, before the Edge program was launched, we were fortunate enough to work with Ricoh as almost a beta test. And as you said, some of our perceptions, our thoughts were quite deeply challenged, and I think that had great value. That led over a period of 6 months to the install or the purchase of an MIS that is badged a managed workflow solution. And early signs are, as you said, we only went live in July, but I think this is going to give us greater transparency, greater information, and the ability to be able to handle both ends of our requirement. And certainly on the smaller orders, I always like the description of workflow is decisions made without people, and that's what we're working on at the moment, and it's proving to be quite successful.
Thanks, Philip. Do Ralph or Arndt want to step in there and give your own perspectives?
Yes, I can give an overview about the online printing part. So for sure, the customers in online printing, they expect an upload function where they see already the bleed and also the safe zone. So today it's a state of the art that you upload your file and you see if the cutting machine maybe cuts off a part of your design. So this is what they expect and what should also be done on each website.
Yeah, and I might add that obviously the traditional print buyer role is changing, but web to print is also opening up the system, the services of a printing company to other people, to micro businesses, to B2C. So it's not only a change in the existing one, it's even enlarging the potential range of customers. So that is what also a driver of changing the requirements here.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ralph. Of course, expanding that market and the size of the opportunity. Okay, let's move on to the second question now. And that is, how do you manage lots of small jobs and automate pre-press to ensure that it's not becoming more expensive than the printing itself? And if I can start with you, this is obviously, I think, a question that's close to your heart. You've got a lot of expertise in this particular area. So do you want to kick off for us?
Yes, yes. So here we have to divide into the two customer groups, because B2B is mostly PDF. So I would say for PDF, it's very easy, because you just get a PDF in, then you make a pre-flight check, and you can directly put it on the sheet. The bigger challenge is the B2C part, because in B2C you get in different kind of files, also Word files and CorelDRAW files, because the private customers try to design wherever they can, and in the end you have to handle this stuff in your printing house. So that's why what we did in the beginning, we changed all these B2C files in a 1-bit TIFF over a Photoshop script. So we opened the files in Photoshop automatically and stored them again as a 1-bit TIFF, to just come to a point where we have one file format for the complete printing company, which is used by side PDF. And so we could handle this on all our sheets.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's a very good,
Ralph?
interesting question. And
Yep.
I think it's a very important point for many companies, because there's a lot of things which can be automated, but sometimes it also makes sense, because it's not frequently used enough not to automate, because the effort would be too high. And so I like Arndt's example to automate it as much as possible, but sometimes it might make sense not to automate it, because your company is too specialized, the expectations of your customers are too high. So I think, Philip, in your case, that you wouldn't be able to automate everything.
Philip, do you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, sure. I think this question is obviously less relevant to me, although, as I said in my first answer to the first question, we are seeing a lot more small jobs. We are seeing daily quantities from various customers. In the new year, we are looking at a large amount of daily work coming in. We have to automate this. We can't have account handlers making job bags. So whether it's via web to print, which we've got 2 web to print systems, which we have good knowledge of and work very well with our clients, or whether it's using the new MIS, the new managed workflow, because through that we can create, if you like, individual ordering portals which have to take into account the knowledge that those clients have. If every single one of our clients were trained to the same level and their files were perfect, my hair would not be grey.
Yeah, good point. Let's move then on to the last question, the third question. And I think, Ralph, I'm going to start with you. Of course, it's your turn. Obviously, you're not a client who necessarily buys from vendors, but I think you've got a lot of experience of working with print service providers and with vendors, and you know what reasonable and realistic expectations are. So I think your point of view is very valid. What do you think?
Yes, and I think it's I mean, the biggest problem when introducing a new workflow, you see all the problems, you see all the challenges and the changes in the customer side. But then you start out, what do I need to automate? What are the best solutions? How do they work together? And I'm frequently being asked, what would you recommend? But then, of course, each printing company is different. You have different customers, different applications, and so on. So it needs an analysis, and especially somebody from the outside to look at it and to say, those solutions work, we have saved money on that. That doesn't make sense. You need to change this and that. So that outside analysis is extremely important. And I think from the vendor, first, a company like Rico has a broad overview on the market. And a company like Rico also has a big interest in keeping their machines running. So I'm pretty sure that that's a good combination and a good starting point to get that help and get your workflow automation started.
Okay, and Philip, obviously, as a commercial printer, you yourself have expectations and experiences of working with vendors in the realm of workflow. So, what do you expect these days? Has it changed from what you might have expected a few years ago, maybe?
No, I don't think so. I think whatever the supplier is, we look for suppliers that we can have a partnership with. I think it's inherent on the printer to know what they want to achieve. And I also think it's inherent on the supplier to be honest, to have high integrity, and to not sell something that they want to sell, but to meet that real need of the client. I'll go back to the EDGE program, and I am always happy to talk to anybody that's on this webinar about EDGE and my experience. EDGE really changed our thinking in a good way. One of the things that I see in many businesses, and I will term it, we begin to believe our own stuff. We're doing okay, so we think that what we're doing and where we are is fine. I would increasingly look for a partnership that challenges and pushes me out of the comfort zone that we all tend to inhabit. If you show me a vendor who can do that, then that's a partnership.
Okay, thank you. Some good words there. So, Arndt, maybe to wrap up, you're a consultant now, of course, run your own consultancy company, but equally you have run commercial print businesses, so you do have that perspective. So, how would you answer this question about vendor expectations in the workflow field?
I can only say that they have to listen to the customers, because when we started, we had a lot of issues because there was really no vendor listening to anybody, especially in the online printing, because they thought we are all crazy guys and we have no idea about printing. But in the end, after some years, they already all started with their little projects, like, for example, for cutting machines. We had then cutting machines with different cutting cycles, which helped us in online printing. Also, Heidelberg made a special software for sheet imposition, which helped us to build the sheets according to InkTech. So step by step is going forward. But I can also say, because I am a member of the IOP group here in Germany, that's the Association of Online Printers in Europe, and we tried one day to get a common level for the FTP, for the GDF. And it was a nightmare because we tried to talk to all bindery equipment vendors and ask them to maybe define the GDF the same way. In the end, we failed because nobody wanted this, because everyone wants to sell his own machine and nobody wants that the machine is replaceable with another one. So that's why I say they just should listen to their customers.
Listen to their customers. Okay, good final words. Thank you, Arndt, Ralph, and Philip. Thank you, all of you, for your contributions and your thoughts there. Ralph, I'm going to ask you now, if I may, to step out of your role as a panelist and perhaps now just summarize the answers and the discussion for us. I think that would be really useful for everyone who's listening in and watching.
Yes, thanks a lot. So I took a few notes of some quick points, maybe the main points of the questions. And I believe we all agree that the clients are changing, their expectations are changing. So it is a customer-driven thing that is moving print ordering, file transmission to electronic channels. And it's also the only way to handle a large number of orders and also have that kind of input for automated decision makings. And also the expectations are driven by the general ordering of goods and services across the internet. So how to manage big jobs, a large number of small jobs and automate preprint. So it makes a difference whether you are in B2B or B2C. B2C is more challenging because there is a lower education level in how to prepare files, but you can take care of that and you can automate to a very high degree with the right software, with the right knowledge, and also some trial and error. And it's also important to run hybrid systems then for the more complicated long run jobs, being able to serve those, but also the high number of small jobs having highly automated channels to serve these jobs as well. And finally, on the expectations from the vendors in workflows, I believe that getting the kind of advice, counseling is very important when you start with automating workflows. But as has been said, a partnership is very important, that both the vendor and the user are on the same level, that there's help, there's advice, integrity from the vendor, and also a bit of a challenge for printing company to come out of the comfort zone. And also the very important point of vendors listening to their customers, and then for the customer finding the right vendor who listened to the advice and build up expertise in the workflow space. Okay, thank you. That was the wrap up of the panel discussion. I would like to hand over to Neil McKinstry, and he's giving an overview on the Rico solutions.
Thank you, Ralph, and good afternoon, everybody. So in our first webinar, we took a high-level view of the end-to-end process and the 5 stages of the production workflow. Let's now have a close look at the first 3 stages of that process, starting with input. So as we've been discussing, maximizing automation at the input stage is key to increasing the efficiency and automation potential throughout the rest of the process. As Ralph mentioned, you always need multiple channels to receive the different orders and job types from your customers, but the key is how we manage those and bring them into a standard production flow. A solution like Rico's Total Flow Batch Builder can receive JDF and XML job tickets in multiple formats and normalize the content to a standard and consistent set of order attributes. Order types can then be easily identified and grouped for more efficient processing further along the production flow. For more complex requirements, Rico Process Director builds on this functionality to add full web service support, MIS, SFTP, and other custom integrations. Combined with tight integrations to web to print and asset management systems, with Rico solutions, you can seamlessly manage orders arriving from practically any type of source system and in multiple different formats. With well-designed automated input processing, customers can submit orders into your business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're open for production or not. Received orders can be passed to production immediately or held for later submission based on business rules that you define. So the key message for input is that it's more expensive really to not automate input. So streamlining order capture with improved input automation, removing rekeying and reducing manual intervention all work to reduce errors and administration costs. Increased automation and improved efficiency also means you can get more jobs into your production environment and then potentially more jobs onto the presses. So let's take a close look at manage. So a managed production flow should really combine process automation and job and device management while providing easy control and visibility of all the work in production. So Rico Process Director provides a scalable and flexible framework that allows you to automate new and existing processes in a completely managed environment. With a simple web-based interface, all types of work are managed in the same way, regardless of their specific production requirements, making production control really easy and efficient. A single comprehensive audit trail for all orders and processes means that every aspect of production can be tracked and monitored, enabling production data on volumes, processing time and materials usage to be shared with reporting, inventory and warehousing systems. In many organizations, as was discussed earlier, MIS is used for estimating and costing, but it's not used for automation. With Rico Process Director, real-time status and milestone updates can be recorded back to the MIS system, creating a two-way communication between the business and production management layers of your print environment. And when this is coupled with Rico Supervisor, you have access to data from the entire production operation, both hardware and software. With dashboards showing near real-time and historical data and a powerful business intelligence engine, Rico Supervisor converts operational data into actionable analytics and provides insights to help you optimize your print environment. So let's summarize the benefits of the managed workflow. So with a managed workflow, you should be able to track the progress and status of every job or order, meaning you clearly communicate progress to customers if needed, and then with accurate tracking of required order volumes versus actual volumes produced, including reprints and remakes being fed back into your MIS or reporting system, the true cost of production can be easily seen. So let's move on to prepare. So again, this was touched on with our panelists and our guests, but ensuring data is properly prepared for production can prevent time-consuming and costly delays further down the process. With Rico's Total Flow suite of software and our partner pre-flight and pre-press solutions, preparing jobs for print production is easily automated. Tight integration with solutions like InFocus PitStop and leading color management solutions ensure your data is correct and optimized, ready for production. Rico's Total Flow Prep is a powerful make-ready solution, allowing you to automate common imposition and page setup tasks. With its ability to combine files of different formats into a single print-ready file, it's easy to build complex documents ready for production. Its late-stage editing capabilities also mean you can add logos, text, and make other minor edits without compromising your schedule or the customer's. All of these changes are reflected in the visual preview, allowing users to check the job layout prior to sending to production. For more complex or specialized imposition and ganging requirements, solutions like Ultimate Input Strip can be easily and seamlessly embedded into the automated production flow, allowing jobs to be imposed dynamically using business logic based on the current production requirements. Tasks like imposition and data stream conversion can be predefined for each application type, such as booklet creating or converting the input files to a common format like PDF. Or it could be just in time, dynamically based on where and how that job is scheduled to be produced. So again, the key message really here is that it's more expensive to repair than prepare. So as we have seen, being prepared for production goes way beyond basic pre-flighting. File conversion, optimization, and imposition may be required for efficient processing. Barcodes for production tracking and machine setup may also be needed to be added, and for certain applications, an automated proofing and approval process may form part of the production flow. So it's more than just the right file, the right font, the right resolution. So we've now looked at the first three stages of the production workflow, and we'll cover the remaining two, produce and output, in our next webinar. If you'd like to know more about the topics we have covered today, or would like to discuss organising a free process discovery workshop, please contact your sales representative or your account manager for more information. For a conversation about how you can strengthen your value proposition or move into new business areas, our Edge programme may be of interest to you. So Rico Edge is designed to allow customers to review their business models using a methodical approach. Partnering and working with some of the leading industry consultants, we review how business businesses can adjust their business model and strengthen their value propositions with a strong focus on driving efficiency. Whether your objective is to move into e-commerce or develop new services to offer to your customers, the tools and programs in Rico Edge are designed to support all our customer investments. The three-phased approach starts with a discovery workshop, reviewing your current business plan and the ideas you have for your future business direction. The next phase is about where Rico can support your business to adapt and grow through Rico solutions and services. The third phase then focuses on delivering these investment activities with access to our Edge consultants, training services, and online tools. So if you'd like to know more about our Edge program, again, please contact your sales representative or your account manager for more information. So just to conclude this section of the webinar, as we discussed today, although the spread of work across the various input channels may be shifting from email and FTP to more modern methods like web to print and web services, efficient and effective input processes can make onboarding quicker and easier and allow jobs to flow more seamlessly into production. Integrating the production process steps into an automated and managed workflow can increase visibility and reduce manual touch points. Predefined application-specific flows lead to consistent and repeatable results, which in turn should mean fewer issues and errors in production. A single managed production process gives you a simple and standardized way of managing all the various types of work in production. It also can provide a complete end-to-end audit trail and is a single source of truth for everything that happens in production, allowing you to more easily manage your entire print ecosystem. So thank you, and I'll now hand over to John for some final comments.
Thanks, Neil. It really remains for me just to say, I really hope you can join us on our third and final webinar. As Neil explained, it's focusing on the output and produce stages. It will take place on Thursday, January the 19th, that's next year. And you can register by visiting the website you can see here, the Unravel page on rico-europe.com. We're in the process of very soon publishing 5 ecosystem ebooks, and you can access them through the URL you can see at the bottom of the page. They should be live there within the next few days. So lastly, I would say thank you very much and Merry Christmas from all of us at Rico and our guests on the webinar today. And I really hope we'll see you again in the new year. Goodbye.